Across the world, a silent crisis is unfolding. It does not look like a financial crash. It does not look like a war. It does not come with headlines or dramatic breaking news. Instead, it spreads quietly through shrinking workforces, rising costs, slower growth, and systems that feel just slightly more strained year after year. Most people will not recognize this crisis until it has already reshaped their daily lives, their job security, their taxes, their health care, their city, and their long-term opportunities. Yet the most surprising part is this: nothing caused it suddenly. It is the result of decisions made over decades, small choices that accumulated into massive global consequences. This is the silent global crisis you will feel long before you realize it is happening. For most of modern history, humanity lived in an era of expansion. Populations grew rapidly, workforces expanded, cities flourished, economic growth felt natural, almost automatic. And in many ways, it was. A young population is an engine. It works, innovates, pays taxes, builds companies, and drives demand. But nearly every advanced economy began experiencing falling birth rates decades ago. At first, the decline was gradual. Then, it accelerated. And by the time governments noticed, the trend was already irreversible. Today, more than 70 countries have fertility rates far below replacement. Entire nations are aging faster than ever seen in recorded history. This shift did not cause problems immediately. Demographic change is slow, predictable, imperceptible, until it reaches a tipping point. The world is now reaching that tipping point. The silent crisis operates through several interconnected mechanisms, each one subtle on its own, but together, transformational. First, labor forces are collapsing. Younger generations are smaller than the ones they replace. Millions of workers are aging out of the workforce. Fewer workers means fewer innovators, fewer entrepreneurs, fewer taxpayers, and fewer consumers. Second, tax bases are shrinking. Governments rely on workers to fund healthcare, pensions, education, infrastructure, and public services. As working populations fall, revenue declines, even as public costs rise. This creates a long-term financial squeeze that every citizen eventually feels. Third, healthcare systems are under strain. Aging societies require more care. More doctors, more nurses, more long-term support. But the workforce that provides that care is shrinking. The result is longer wait times, rising costs, and overwhelmed systems. Fourth, pension systems become unsustainable. Many countries rely on today's workers to support today's retirees. But when the ratio collapses, when one worker must support 2 or 3 retirees, the math simply breaks. Governments are forced into difficult decisions: raise retirement ages, cut benefits, or increase taxes. None are popular. All are inevitable. Fifth, innovation slows. Younger societies take risks. They build startups. They adopt new technologies faster. Older societies become more cautious, not by choice, but by demographic gravity. Sixth, geopolitical power shifts. Nations with growing populations gain energy, economic capacity, and strategic influence. Nations with shrinking populations face labor shortages, stagnation, and declining global leverage. The silent crisis is not just demographic. It is economic, political, and societal, all at once. So what does this mean for you? You will feel it long before you notice it. Expect chronic labor shortages, not just in specialized fields, but in everyday essential roles. Companies will struggle to hire, service quality will fluctuate, wait times will grow. Expect higher taxes and fewer public services. Governments simply cannot fund mid-20th century programs with 21st century demographics. Expect housing markets to diverge. Some regions will experience long-term price declines as populations shrink. Others, especially younger regions, will become dramatically more competitive. Expect structural inflation, not the temporary spikes driven by events, but long-term upward pressure caused by fewer workers and higher public costs. Expect businesses to reorganize around automation, more AI systems, more robotics, more outsourcing, not because it is futuristic, but because it is necessary. And expect political tension to rise. Younger generations feeling overburdened. Older generations fearing benefit cuts, governments facing impossible trade-offs. All of this emerges slowly, imperceptibly, until one day society feels different, and no one can remember exactly when it changed. But here is the hopeful truth. A silent crisis is also a silent opportunity. Countries that adapt through smarter immigration policy, automation, family support incentives, and modernized pension systems will remain stable and competitive. Individuals who adapt will thrive even more. Build adaptable skills. Understand demographic shifts. Position yourself in growing regions and growing industries. Strengthen financial resilience. Learn to navigate volatility with clarity rather than fear. The crisis is silent, but that is exactly why awareness matters. Those who see the shift early will have the time, space, and advantage to prepare. The world is changing quietly, but its impact will be loud. The earlier you understand this transition, the better prepared you will be for the world it creates.